Thank you for joining me today on what I hope will only be a 5-minute overview, might be a touch longer, of my recent research for Enghouse Networks on where telcos are today with deploying AI and machine learning and what they will need in order to move towards greater autonomy and self-healing networks. Currently, machine learning is increasingly well used, and those I interviewed for my research were happy with use cases like anomaly detection. Its use in prediction and proactivity was also on the rise, but there's still a lack of maturity and issues with either insufficient or poor quality data. Plus, it's just really difficult sometimes to predict a rare event. Gen AI continues to be a focus area with half a dozen main uses identified. The most popular were, of course, co-pilots, helping both those familiar with assurance data or those who are not. But you also saw the odd instance of its use in generating content and enriching existing content. Gen AI will obviously then underpin the move towards TM Forum's Level 4 autonomous networks with the deployment of agentic systems. There were fewer agents seen actually deployed in assurance than might have been assumed given the hype over the last year and a half, but all interviewees, that's both telcos and vendors, were at some stage on the continuum from creating really early capabilities through pilots on into early deployments and in certain assurance workflows. Indeed, assurance seems to be the main place on the network where they're being deployed due to some mix of, a good amount of data being available, but also manageable risk because a lot of assurance tasks are relatively simple and routine and also slower than some of the automations needed in the network, so a human can get involved as needed. Also, there's a good amount of existing automation in assurance, which is a natural evolutionary path and which is useful for a variety of reasons. Looking at what assurance workflows we're seeing agentic activity, there's quite a wide dispersal across resource and service assurance, more on the domain-specific resource side, presumably because the agents don't need cross-domain data or to create cross-domain orchestrations. Then specific agents doing issue detection, root cause analysis, and enrichment, so gathering additional data points as needed. And then certain proactive automations were seen, particularly around early anomaly detection. When looking at how a telco will go from half a dozen agents in certain assurance processes to a self-healing network, I've been describing these technical capabilities needed as an agentic architecture, for want of a better phrase. And the layers are shown here to the left of my head. First of all, placing the needs of users at the top to remind architects of the need to build trust and good user experience. The IT system and application layer includes all systems with which the agent interacts, both internal to the telco, so CRM systems, or external, that's customer or partner systems. The agentic architecture must provide usable outputs to these systems and then also provide clear and achievable requests to them. So that's obviously where MCP comes into play. At the agent there's a journey from simple agent systems that sit in a hierarchy controlled from the top to potentially multi-agent systems where individual agents have a degree of autonomy. Question mark still as to which processes really need this complexity. The intelligence layer has deployments of appropriate models to provide inference or symbolic reasoning, with significant work still needed to make these models trustworthy. A big part of this work will be the federation and organisation of knowledge to provide suitable context for good quality decisions. This looks to be one of the areas where telcos will need to focus most of their activity in the next 5 years because it does not look easy. Alongside this is the gathering, federation and transportation of the data needed for model training and decisioning. Good data quality and the ability to collect the necessary data at the necessary speed within reasonable cost remains focus area for telcos, with some interesting issues there as well. Then the availability and stable, scalable compute for high-speed models, and increasingly industry discussion of the need for potentially very large storage capabilities. Lastly, the development of lifecycle management for these technologies, agent ops, data ops, knowledge ops, that support the agents, the models, the knowledge and the data, alongside other big projects, including security, privacy, governance, compliance and risk. So, a really significant amount of new technologies and new skills that the telcos will need to build. Even just describing the architecture in 5 minutes highlights the amount of work that telcos need to do. How do they make a start? Well, start small to see what works well and then build on that start using the understanding developed, but also have a team that's working on the long-term vision to avoid kind of specifically technical debt. Obviously, this vision is really difficult because AI and associated technologies are still changing and developing, but making a working best guess on a couple of slides will help understand what is needed tomorrow to enable, what is needed today to enable tomorrow. This long-term vision should also be used to plan out the best data and knowledge architectures, as these are going to take time and money to develop. Then there should be one person or a small team of people going out to all the teams using assurance data to educate them on what agents can do, how to use them, and then how these teams can get involved in moving towards the self-healing vision. So, thank you so much for your time. I do hope that was interesting. To download a free copy of my research paper with Agentic Networks, published by my friends at STL Partners, please click on the link. Thank you.